The Galactic Council chamber was one of the largest structures ever built in the Milky Way. It floated above a blue giant star, shining like a golden crown in the darkness of space. Inside the chamber, thousands of alien leaders sat in curved rows, arranged by species, power, and age. Some species floated in water-filled spheres. Others stood tall on four legs, metal arms folded across glowing armor. A few species looked almost like statues, cold, ancient, silent, but today even the ancient ones seemed restless. The room buzzed with fear and excitement. Every leader in the galaxy had been called here urgently. The message was sent to everyone: emergency vote, subject, humanity. Now the galaxy waited, whispering loudly. At the center of the chamber stood a tall figure wrapped in shimmering silver robes, the Speaker of the Council, a creature known as Zaltar. His skin was like polished stone, and his voice carried natural authority. He raised one heavy hand. The room became silent instantly. "Members of the Council," he began, "you have been summoned because the humans of Earth have proven themselves unpredictable." Murmurs spread again: worry, anger, confusion. A four-eyed alien from the Krell Dominion slammed his claw on the table. "Unpredictable, they are dangerous, they attack without reason." A slender, insect-like diplomat clicked its mandibles. No, humans are primitive. They fight because they fear everything." A creature covered in floating feathers whispered, "I hear they destroyed 3 exploration teams last month." Another voice hissed, "And they said it was a warning to us." The room grew colder. Zaltar pressed a control on his wrist, and a huge hologram appeared. It showed Earth, blue-white, calm, spinning slowly in the darkness. "This world," the speaker said, "has refused every attempt at peaceful contact. Their technology improves too quickly. Their weapons grow stronger each year. Their minds are unpredictable. Their will," he paused, "their will is dangerous." For a moment no one moved. The silence was broken by the clicking footsteps of Ambassador Rystel from the Varn Empire. Her body was thin like a shadow, her eyes bright with intelligence. She stepped forward. "Humans are not dangerous because of their weapons," she said softly. "They are dangerous because they refuse to give up. They adapt faster than any species we have ever known." A deep voice boomed from the balcony. It belonged to a massive reptilian warlord from the Draken clans. "Then we enslave them," he growled. "We break their spirit before it breaks us." The chamber erupted in loud voices. Some cheered, some protested, some laughed in excitement at the idea. Zaltar let them argue for several minutes before raising his hand again. "The vote is simple," he announced. "We decide today whether Earth will become a protected member of the Council." He paused, letting the idea hang in the air. "Or whether humanity will be enslaved before they become a threat." The chamber exploded in noise again, but this time there was no confusion. There was only one emotion burning in the air: fear. Not fear of attack, not fear of war, fear of human potential. Zaltar activated the voting interface. Thousands of glowing screens appeared in front of every species representative. The speaker's voice echoed, "Council members, cast your vote." One by one the screens flashed with decisions: enslave Earth, enslave Earth, enslave Earth, enslave Earth. Species after species made the same choice. Even the peaceful ones who hated violence voted with shaking hands. No one wanted to take a chance with humans. Within minutes the vote was complete. Zaltar looked at the final result. He already knew what he would see, but still felt a chill run through his stone-like skin. "Unanimous," he whispered. "Every species agrees." He raised his voice. "The Council has voted. Earth will be—" He never finished the sentence, because at that exact moment a sharp alarm echoed through the chamber. The hologram of Earth flickered and turned red. Strange symbols filled the projection. A technician shouted, "We lost connection to Earth's orbit." Another alien yelled, "All probes offline." A dozen screens across the chamber showed the same message: no signal, no response, no data. Confusion spread quickly. Aliens shouted over each other. "What does this mean? Is it a blackout? Did they destroy our satellites? Did they detect our vote somehow?" Zaltar raised both hands, but even he could barely calm the rising panic. "Explain," he demanded. A small, nervous technician with glowing eyes studied the data. His voice trembled as he spoke. "Sir, Earth just went dark. All communications, all signals, all orbit tech, everything shut down at the same time, even human satellites." The council chamber froze. Every alien felt the same cold fear at the same moment. Earth didn't look threatened. Earth didn't look scared. Earth looked silent, dead silent. A feathered ambassador whispered, "Are we sure they did not destroy themselves?" The technician swallowed hard. "No, Ambassador. The planet is functioning, cities are lit, power grids are running, people are moving normally, but all external connections are disconnected." Zaltar stared at the hologram with narrowed eyes. "Why would humans disconnect themselves from the galaxy?" he asked. A voice spoke from the shadows behind him. It belonged to one of the oldest species in the council, a creature that looked like swirling smoke holding ancient memories. "Humans have not disconnected themselves." The old being said, "They have hidden themselves. The words spread like poison through the room. Hidden how? Is that even possible? What are they planning? The ancient being floated forward. Humans know about our vote, it whispered. They know what is coming. Zaltar slammed his fist on the table. Impossible. The vote is encrypted. No species outside the council has access. But the ancient being simply drifted closer, glowing faintly. You do not understand Earth. It murmured, you see their technology, you see their wars, you see their mistakes. Its voice deepened, but you do not see their history. The room grew colder, even the warm glow of the star outside seemed dimmer. The ancient being continued, humans are survivors. When threatened, they do not run, they do not surrender, they do not disappear. It paused. They prepare. Every alien felt a strange heaviness in the air, a pressure like the beginning of a storm. The ancient being spread its smoky arms wide. And when humans prepare, the galaxy should fear. The chamber erupted into chaos again. Leaders shouted, generals demanded explanations, scientists examined data frantically. Zaltar activated a tactical screen. A map of Earth's orbit appeared, showing all alien satellites, all spy probes, all listening devices. Every single one had gone offline at the same second. The speaker shook his head. This is not normal. Voice cracked slightly. Humans do not possess this level of control. Are you sure? The ancient being whispered. A cold silence followed. At that moment, a new alarm flashed across the screens. Unknown signal detected. The council gasped. A message appeared in the alien language, translated instantly. It was short, only 7 words, but those 7 words were enough to freeze the blood of every species in the chamber. The words read, you made your choice. Prepare for hours. No ship was detected, no sender ID, no location, just the message, appearing in every language at once, slipping through every firewall, every defense system, every encryption system in the galaxy. Zaltar stepped back, horrified. They breached our secure network, he whispered. That network is protected by 23 alien species. The chamber erupted in fear. How? What are they? What have we done? This is impossible. The ancient being spoke one last time, its voice echoing like thunder. You voted to enslave humans, it said softly, but now you must pray they show mercy. The lights in the chamber flickered, the Earth hologram slowly rotated, calm and peaceful, but now to everyone watching it looked less like a small, weak world and more like a sleeping monster. The Council had made its choice, and humanity had answered, but their answer had only just begun. The Galactic Council had never felt fear like this before. After the mysterious human message, you made your choice, prepare for hours. The entire chamber fell into a strange, heavy silence. It was the kind of silence that came before disaster, before storms, before extinction. Species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years now looked like frightened children. Zaltar, the speaker of the council, felt something he had never felt in his long life, the fear of the unknown. He stared at the hologram of Earth again. It still spun calmly. Innocent in appearance. Blue oceans, white clouds, and green continents drifted across its surface, but its silence, that silence was unnatural. Send a scout fleet, Zaltar ordered. Immediately, dozens of commanders saluted and rushed toward the communication terminals. Within minutes, 3 scout groups made up of 27 ships each were deployed. These were not warships. These were the fastest observational vessels in the galaxy, used for stealth and analysis. Their goal was simple: approach Earth quietly. Observe, report. The Council watched the status screens as the fleets moved through space. But the fleets never even reached Earth, not one of them. The first fleet, the first scout group, approached from the dark side of Earth's orbit. They activated stealth mode, making themselves invisible to most sensors. Their plan was to remain at a safe distance and scan the planet. But as soon as they crossed into the outer edge of Earth's gravity field, all of their screens turned black. Every system shut down, every engine stopped. Every ship drifted forward silently. Commander Rizal, a long-bodied alien with crystal-like skin, shouted, "Restart the core now," but nothing worked. The emergency lights glowed a deep, sickly red. Then someone yelled, "Look!" Out of the darkness floated hundreds of small human drones. They were sleek, black, silent machines, each with a glowing blue eye in the center. They circled the disabled ships like sharks around a dying whale. The alien crew panicked. "Do not move," Commander Rizal shouted. "Do not provoke them." But the drones didn't attack. They simply scanned the ships, then disappeared as silently as they had arrived. And the moment they vanished, every system rebooted again. The fleet had no choice but to return. They were too shaken to continue. Their final report to the Council was terrifying. Humans disabled our ships without firing a single shot. The drones were invisible until they chose to appear. Their silence is intentional. The Council chamber trembled with whispers. The second fleet, this group took a different route, approaching Earth from above the moon. Commander Velrock, a creature with metallic wings, felt confident. "Humans cannot control the moon," he said. "It is impossible. Their technology is too primitive." But as they approached the lunar surface, their sensors detected something impossible. A large metallic structure previously hidden under the moon's crust was opening like a giant metal flower. "What is that?" Velrock gasped. The chamber watching from the Council HQ also froze. The structure was enormous, miles wide. Inside it were massive human starships, not small ones. These were flagships, warships, heavy battleships. But their design was wrong. They were not like any human ships seen before. They were advanced, too advanced. Dark metal hulls with no seams, energy reactors glowing a cold blue, weapons hidden beneath smooth surfaces, hull armor that didn't reflect light. It swallowed it. The flagship in the center slowly rotated. It had no name written on its side, only a single symbol, a closed human fist. Zalter whispered, "That is not possible. They could not build these." But the truth was obvious. Humans had been building in secret for years, maybe decades. Commander Velrock panicked and ordered his fleet to retreat. At that moment, the giant human flagship activated its engines. It did not fire any weapons. It did not chase them. It simply broadcast a short message: "You were warned." Then the ship vanished, jumping faster than any known alien engine. The fleet returned, trembling. Their report: "Human warships exist inside the moon. Their technology is beyond our understanding. We recommend immediate retreat." The third fleet, this group was the largest and most cautious. They approached from the far side of the solar system, far beyond Pluto, hoping to observe Earth from a distance. They kept their engines at minimum power to avoid detection. Commander Kithra, a highly respected strategist, stood tall on her command deck. "We keep distance, we observe only, no contact, no signals, no aggression." For a long time, everything went smoothly. The fleet took distant scans of Earth's orbit, but then they noticed something strange, something that should not exist. A gigantic ring structure, almost invisible, camouflaged against the darkness, was orbiting the sun. "What is that?" Kithra whispered. One of her officers replied with shaking voice, "Commander, it is not alien technology." Kithra frowned. "What do you mean?" "It is human construction." The council chamber erupted into chaos again when the data arrived. A gigantic human-built structure, the size of a small moon, was orbiting the sun. It was shielded, hidden, and pulsing with energy. It was clearly unfinished, but even incomplete, it was the most advanced structure the Council had ever seen. Zalter whispered in terror, "They are building something massive." The readings from the structure showed energy signatures that no alien species could identify. Some believed it was a weapon, some believed it was a fortress, some believed it was a portal, but no one knew the truth. Kithra's fleet turned around slowly. They had seen enough, but before they could leave the solar system, every ship received an incoming transmission. A calm human voice spoke, "Observing without permission is rude." Commander Kithra felt her body freeze. This communication should have been impossible. They were hidden, silent, distant, yet humans found them. The voice continued, "Return to your masters. Tell them we are awake." The third fleet fled instantly. When they arrived at the Council HQ, many officers refused to leave their ships. Some trembled, some cried, some fainted. Their report: "Humans have created megastructures near the sun. They detected us instantly. Their power is beyond comprehension." Panic in the Council when all three reports were received. The Galactic Council chamber exploded in confusion and terror. Some leaders screamed for war, some demanded peace, some wanted to surrender immediately, others argued humans were bluffing, but the evidence was clear. Humanity was no longer a small planet. They were no longer primitive. They were no longer weak. They were something else now, something the galaxy feared. Zalter stood, voice trembling. "We must open diplomatic communication." Ambassador Reistel responded sharply, "Diplomacy is pointless. They already know our vote." A reptilian general roared, "Then we must attack first." The ancient being of smoke floated forward again, glowing softly. "You cannot attack what you cannot understand," it whispered. "Humans do not think like you, they do not act like you, they do not fear like you." It drifted closer to the hologram of Earth. "They only respond." Zalter swallowed hard. "Respond to what?" The ancient being answered, "To threats." The chamber fell silent. "The fleets went to observe," Zalter said quietly. "They did not attack." But the ancient being shook its smoky head. "Your vote was the attack. You voted to enslave them. You voted to break them. You voted to control their future." The being's voice deepened, echoing like thunder. "And humans always respond to those who threaten their future." The chamber shook slightly, not from fear, but from something else. A vibration, a tremor, a distant rumble. The alarms flashed. "Unidentified object detected." The council froze. "Is it human?" Zalter whispered. The technician looked up, eyes filled with terror. "No, not one object." The screen zoomed out. Hundreds. The whole chamber gasped. Thousands of human ships had jumped into the outskirts of council space. Silently, without warning, without warp signatures, just appeared. Zalter felt his heart turn to stone. "Dear stars, what have we awakened?" The ancient being whispered, not a monster, but a memory. The chamber shook harder. The human fleet began moving, slowly, silently, directly toward the council's homeworld, and then the final message arrived: "We are coming to talk." But the tone carried no warmth, no mercy, only judgment. The galaxy had voted. Now humanity had come to respond. The Galactic Council had survived wars, star plagues, supernovas, and ancient cosmic beasts, but nothing compared to the terror that filled the chamber now. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was afraid of one small blue world. The screens all around the chamber glowed with the same warning: unidentified mass fleet detected approaching Council space. At first, the Council believed it was a glitch. No fleet could move that fast. No fleet could hide their warp signatures. No fleet could appear out of nowhere. But this was no glitch. The technician monitoring the scanners swallowed hard and spoke with a shaking voice. "It's real, they are here." The entire chamber turned silent. The silent fleet, the hologram expanded, showing thousands of human ships. But these were not like any the aliens had ever documented. These ships were sleek, dark, featureless, absorbing all light, commanding a presence like enormous shadows drifting through space. Each ship moved with near-perfect synchronization. Like a single mind controlled them all. Ambassador Rystel whispered, "They are not flying, they are stalking." The largest ship, almost the size of a small moon, led the formation. It had no visible engines, no markings, no windows. Only one glowing symbol burned at its center, the closed human fist. Zaltar felt his stone-like skin tremble. "Why would they come here?" he whispered. The ancient being made of smoke drifted forward, its voice hollow, to deliver their answer. The debate of fear arguments exploded once again across the chamber. "We must fire the planetary defenses." "No, that will start a war. They already started one. Humans do not come to negotiate, they come to punish. They are bluffing. You think this is a bluff? Look at those ships." Zaltar slammed both hands down. "Enough." The room quieted, though the terror still clung to the air. "We must choose," Zaltar said. "Fight, flee, or talk." A reptilian general snarled. "Fight, we have more ships than any species." Ambassador Rystel responded sharply. "Numbers do not matter when your enemy controls physics itself." The reptilian growled louder. "We cannot bow to primitives from a lesser world." At that moment, all screens flickered. A human face appeared, a woman, calm, emotionless, eyes cold like void. No one expected her. No one detected her signal. No one even knew how she breached their strongest encryption. She blinked once, slowly. Then she spoke in clear, flawless alien tongue. "We are here." The reptilian general froze mid-roar. Every alien in the chamber held their breath. The human woman continued, "Do not fear, we did not come to destroy you." For a moment, hope flickered in the chamber, then her tone hardened. "Unless you make us." The message Zaltar tried to speak, but his voice cracked. We meant no." The woman raised a hand. "Stop." Every alien froze. They could not explain it, but her gesture carried unnatural weight. "You voted to enslave us," she said. "You hid behind fear, lies, and old myths. You assumed we were weak, simple, slow." Her voice darkened. "You were wrong." A feathered ambassador whispered, How did you find out?" The woman smiled. It was not a kind smile. "We hear everything." The ancient being of smoke bowed slightly, as though acknowledging an old truth. The warning, the woman stepped aside, revealing a view behind her, a massive chamber inside the human flagship. The walls glowed with blue energy. Strange symbols moved like living light. Human soldiers stood in rows, silent, unmoving. Then the camera rotated to show something far more terrifying, a giant sphere pulsing with swirling energy, bright, controlled, deadly. Zaltar whispered, "What is that?" The woman answered simply, "Balance." Rystel shook with fear. "A weapon?" The woman shook her head. "A lesson." She stepped closer to the camera. "We will not attack your worlds. We will not burn your fleets. We will not enslave your species." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "But we will show you the difference between fear and respect." The demonstration, without warning, the screen split into two views. On the right, the council chamber. On the left, a distant star system, home to no intelligent life, only gas planets. The human flagship activated the glowing sphere. A massive pulse of energy rippled through space. The gas giant on screen began to twist, bend, crack, and then collapsed into itself. The entire planet shrank to the size of a moon in seconds. A ripple of shockwaves tore through the system. Silence filled the council. Even the coldest leaders felt their hearts freeze. Rystel whispered, voice thin as paper, "They crushed a planet." The woman on screen spoke calmly, "We control gravity." Zaltar felt his knees weaken. "But why are you showing us this?" She responded, "To stop your fear, to stop your foolishness, to stop your war before it begins." She tilted her head slightly. "We do not destroy unless forced, but now you understand what forcing us looks like." The fleets surround the council world. Suddenly, the hologram zoomed out. The human fleet wasn't just approaching, it was already here. The ships surrounded the council's homeworld in a perfect, no gaps, no weakness, a formation only possible with perfect coordination, perfect communication, perfect control. Zaltar whispered, "Why did we ever vote against them?" Because they were afraid, because they were arrogant, because they believed humans were small. But the fleet outside showed the truth. Humanity had grown beyond anyone's expectations. The human commander speaks. The woman stepped aside. A new figure replaced her. A tall human man wearing a dark uniform lined with blue lights. His presence felt heavier, stronger, as if gravity itself bent around him. He spoke slowly, clearly. "We did not come for war, we came for clarity." He lifted his chin slightly. "You wanted to enslave Earth. You wanted to decide our fate. You wanted to control our future." He leaned forward. "Now we will decide yours." Many aliens flinched. "But we are not your masters." He continued, "Not your rulers, not your enemy." He paused. "Unless you choose to make us." The entire chamber remained silent, not even breathing could be heard. The human ultimatum, the commander raised a small device. 3 symbols appeared behind him. 1. Peace. Humanity and the Galactic Council coexist as allies. 2. Isolation. Earth will cut off all contact forever. Any approach will be considered an attack. 3. Intervention. Humanity will take leadership to prevent future galactic threats. The room trembled. Zaltar whispered, You are giving us choices. The commander nodded, Yes, because we respect your free will. He leaned closer to the camera, even when you did not respect ours. The fearful decision: the council could not vote, not yet, not with the human fleet watching, but something changed inside the chamber. The fear was no longer simple terror, it was recognition. Humans were not monsters, not conquerors, not slaves. They were protectors, but protectors with sharp teeth. Zaltar straightened his back for the first time since the crisis began. We will vote, he said. The commander nodded once. We will wait. The human fleet dimmed their engines. The giant flagship turned toward the council chamber. The humans waited in total silence. No threats, no countdowns, no violence, just the weight of their presence. That silence was more terrifying than any weapon. The chamber prepares to vote. Ambassador Rystel whispered, We have one chance left. The ancient being of smoke drifted toward the hologram of Earth. It is not just a chance, it said softly. It is a warning. The chamber lights dimmed, thousands of voting screens powered on. Zaltar stared at his. 3 options, 3 futures: peace, isolation, intervention. He took a deep breath. Every alien held their breath. Every heartbeat felt like thunder. The future of the galaxy was about to be decided. As Zaltar touched the screen, the entire chamber shook violently. The human flagship was moving, and the humans had not said why. The vote had not even begun, and something new, something bigger had entered their space. The Galactic Council chamber shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. Light panels flickered. Every species froze in panic. Even the ancient being of smoke seemed to tremble as the tremors grew stronger. Zaltar gripped the edge of the desk. What now? He whispered. For one terrible moment, everyone thought the humans had started their attack, but the alarms flashing across the screens told a different story. Unidentified object detected, not human. The entire chamber gasped. Ambassador Rystel spoke first, her voice thin. If not humans, then who? The hologram expanded, and what they saw made the room fall completely silent. The new arrival, a huge structure, floated at the edge of council space. Not a ship, not a fleet, not anything any species recognized. It looked like a giant crack in space, a rip in the darkness. Colors twisted, pulsed, and stretched like the universe was bleeding. Strange symbols flickered across its edges, symbols no species had ever documented. Zaltar whispered, terrified that is not possible. Another ambassador gasped, that is not human technology. A third voice trembled, that is older than all of us. Even the ancient smoke being drifted backward, its form shaking. Not older, it whispered, forgotten. The chamber trembled again, and every alien turned toward the hologram. The humans had stopped moving. Their silent fleet, moments ago threatening, unstoppable, now seemed frozen in shock. For the first time, humans looked surprised. Inside the human flagship, on the human flagship apex, alarms flashed bright red. Commander Hale, the human who addressed the council earlier, stood on the bridge with a hardened face. His officers looked tense, their screens filled with unreadable energy signatures. Sir, one officer said nervously, we have never seen this before. Hale frowned, that's because it is not from our universe. Another officer turned pale. Then what is it? Hale spoke in a low voice, a threat bigger than the council. Those words reached the council chamber instantly via the shared connection. Zaltar's blood turned cold. Bigger than the council, bigger than humans. What could possibly be bigger than the silent fleet outside? The rift expands, the crack in space widened with a deep, rumbling sound like something enormous was waking up. Black mist poured from the opening, swallowing light. Ships near the edge of the system lost power instantly. Their lights died, their engines stopped, their hulls froze mid-motion. Ambassador Rystel shouted, is it attacking? A scientist examined readings quickly. No, it's feeding. The chamber went silent again. The scientist continued, it is pulling energy, heat, radiation, gravity, even space-time itself. Zaltar felt something icy inside his chest, a creature feeding on space, a creature feeding on the universe. This was not war, this was hunger. The human response, Commander Hale turned toward his officers. Activate the gravity pulse shield, he ordered. The officers hesitated. Sir, using it at full power might break the ship. It doesn't matter, Hale said firmly. We must contain the rift. A young officer swallowed hard. We might die. Hale gave a grim smile. We are humans. Since when did dying stop us? The whole human bridge straightened, resolve shining in their eyes. This was different from the council. Different from fear, different from panic. This was human determination, the one thing the galaxy feared most. The first clash, a deep boom echoed through space as the apex released a pulse of blue energy. It expanded like a shockwave, colliding with the rift. For a moment, the crack froze, then it screamed, not with sound, but with vibrations that shook entire planets. The council chamber shook like it was caught in a storm. "What are humans fighting?" Rystel cried. The ancient smoke being whispered, "Something from before the first stars, something that eats light, something that sleeps between dimensions." Zaltar felt the horror sink into his bones, and it is awake now. The rift reaches back, the crack in space pulsed with black light, and a gigantic shadow began to emerge. It had no shape, no clear form, just a shifting mass of darkness with 1,000 twisting limbs. Every species watching felt the same instinctive fear. Not fear of being hunted, not fear of being killed, fear of being erased. The thing stretched a long, shadowy arm toward the human fleet, then it struck. The front line of human ships was hit with a wave of dark energy. Half of them vanished instantly, not destroyed, erased as if they never existed. The council screamed in panic. They killed human ships. They erased them from reality. Nothing survives that, but Commander Hale didn't flinch. He turned to his officers. "Reform formation, prepare counter-gravity burst." His officers obeyed instantly. Rystel stared with disbelief. How can they fight something like that? The ancient being answered, "Because humans fear nothing, not even the void." The human counterattack, a new pattern formed in the fleet, tight, spiraled, precise. The human ships moved as if they shared one mind. Hale raised his hand. "Fire." A second pulse blasted outward, twice as large as the first. It hit the rift creature with immense force. The monster screamed again, its shadowy limbs burned away, its form twisted. The universe around it warped like melting glass. Zaltar whispered in shock. They heard it. The ancient being nodded. "Yes, because humans command gravity, the oldest force of creation." The council felt a chill. Humans did not just understand gravity, they controlled it, they weaponized it, not to dominate, but to protect. The rift escalates. The creature pulled itself fully from the crack. Now its true size was visible. It was larger than the human flagship, larger than the council's homeworld, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its entire body pulsed with cosmic hunger. Commander Hale whispered, "Damn." Then he spoke loudly, "All ships, full power, we hold the line." The officers nodded without hesitation. Even if death stood before them, humans would not run. The council watches. Every alien watched the battle with shaking bodies. Human ships vanished. Shadow tentacles tore through space. Gravity pulses exploded like blue suns. The rift creature screamed, bending time around it, but the humans kept fighting. Zaltar whispered with trembling lips, "We voted to enslave them, but they are saving us instead." Rystel stared at the hologram, tears forming in her eyes. "That is what humans do," she whispered. "They protect everyone, even those who hurt them." The final push. The rift creature lunged toward the council's homeworld. If it reached the planet, there would be nothing left. Commander Hale stood up and pointed forward. "Apex, full gravity core release." His officers hesitated. "That will destroy us." Hale nodded. "Yes, but it will save them." Silence filled the human bridge. Then, without another word, every human officer saluted. They knew what sacrifice meant. They accepted it without fear. Hale placed his hand on the activation panel. "For Earth, for the galaxy, for everything." He pressed the command. The sacrifice. A blinding blue explosion erupted from the center of the apex. It expanded instantly, a star of pure gravity. The rift creature shrieked as its body collapsed inward. Its limbs shattered like smoke. Its massive torso tore apart, and the crack in space began to close. The creature fought back, but the pull was too strong. Piece by piece, limb by limb, its entire body was sucked back into the rift. Then silence. The explosion faded. The rift sealed. Space returned to normal. The apex was gone. Commander Hale was gone. Thousands of human soldiers were gone, but the galaxy was safe. Humans had paid the price. The aftermath. The council chamber was silent. No cheers, no applause, only stunned, humble silence. Ambassador Rystel whispered, "They saved us even after we tried to destroy them." The ancient being of smoke drifted forward, glowing softly. "They were never your enemy," it said. "They were your guardians, long before you realized it." Zaltar bowed his head. "What have we done?" he whispered. His hands trembled as he spoke the truth. "We feared humans, but we never understood them." He lifted his eyes toward the hologram of Earth. "They are the ones who stand between us and the dark." And now the galaxy owed them a debt it could never repay. For the first time in many ages, the galaxy stood completely silent. No ships moved, no weapons fired, no ambassadors argued, no alarms screamed. The only thing filling the air was a deep, painful emptiness. Commander Hale and the entire Apex crew were gone. The human flagship had sacrificed itself to seal the ancient rift. Thousands of human soldiers had vanished in the blinding blue explosion, and the galaxy watched it all happen. The council in shock. The chamber was quiet like a tomb. Tears dripped from the eyes of species who had never cried in their entire lives. Even the cold-blooded and emotionless stood frozen in grief and disbelief. Zaltar sat heavily, his stone-like body shaking. "They gave their lives," he whispered, "for us." Ambassador Rystel turned her gaze toward the hologram of Earth. Her voice cracked. "And we voted to enslave them." An old feathered ambassador covered their face with both wings. "We deserve extinction, not protection." But the ancient smoke being spoke with a calm tone. "No, you deserve to learn." The chamber turned toward the glowing entity. Humans, it said softly, have always paid high prices to protect others, even when others feared them, even when others betrayed them. Its smoky body pulsed with quiet grief. This is not the first time humans have sacrificed themselves for the galaxy. Rystel frowned. What do you mean not the first time? But before the being could answer, the screens lit up again, a new signal. The technicians scrambled to their stations. "Yes, sir, a transmission from the human fleet." Every ambassador gasped. But didn't the flagship explode? "Hale is gone. How are they contacting us?" A voice echoed across the chamber. Not Hale, it belonged to a different human, deeper, older, wiser. "This is Admiral Kale Wren, Commander Hale's superior officer." The screen flickered and showed the new human leader. Admiral Kale stood tall, wearing heavy black armor with glowing blue lines. His eyes were cold steel, but his face carried deep grief. Behind him, the surviving human fleet reorganized into new formation, tighter, sharper, even more dangerous. Kale spoke slowly, his tone calm but filled with power. "Commander Hale has fallen. The Apex is gone, but humanity remains." Rystel whispered quietly, "They survived the impossible and they still stand." Kale continued, "We detected the rift before your council did. We knew something ancient was waking. We came here not to threaten you, but to defend everything that exists." His gaze hardened, "But your vote against Earth still stands." The chamber froze. Even after saving the galaxy, humans still had not forgiven the Council's decision. Zaltar lowered his head. "We were wrong," he said quietly. "We know that now." Kale did not respond. His silence was heavier than any weapon. The wounds of the war. The hologram shifted, showing the human ships. Many were damaged, some burned, some had holes torn completely through their hulls, others drifted helplessly. The human fleet was strong but wounded. Kale pointed to the broken ships behind him. "We lost over 70,000 soldiers. We lost the Apex. We lost heroes who volunteered to fight an enemy older than time." He looked directly into the camera, at the Council, at all species watching. "And yet the galaxy feared us instead of trusting us." Rystel trembled with shame. We cannot change the past, but we can change what happens from now on." Zaltar raised his voice. "Humans, whatever you decide, we will accept it. If you choose war, we will face your judgment. If you choose peace, we will honor it. If you choose isolation, we will respect it." Every ambassador nodded. This was no longer fear, this was respect, deep, sincere respect. Kale watched their reactions carefully, then he said, "There will be no war today." The chamber exhaled in relief. "But we will not forget your vote." The relief faded instantly. The hidden truth. Kale signaled his officers. The hologram changed again. This time it showed a map of the entire galaxy. Hundreds of red marks glowed across different sectors. "What are those?" Zaltar asked. Kale replied, "Weak points." "Weak points to what?" Rystel asked. Kale zoomed in on the red marks. "To the rift." A silence filled the chamber. Kale continued, "The creature you saw was not alone. It was only the first, a scout, a small one." Rystel gasped. "A small one?" Kale nodded. "The rift species are waking. Many more are pushing against reality. And the galaxy is not prepared." Zaltar's voice trembled. But you humans, you sealed the rift." Kale shook his head. "No, Commander Hale sealed one crack, not all of them." The chamber turned ice cold. Not one species dared to speak. The new threat. Kale zoomed the map again. Where the red marks were once small dots, they now pulsed like beating hearts, growing, strengthening, spreading. Kale's voice deepened. "You have an enemy you cannot fight, an enemy you cannot see, an enemy you cannot understand." He looked at each alien leader, his voice firm. "Humanity is the only species with the technology to fight them." Zaltar whispered, "So you came not to punish us, but to save us again." Kale nodded once. "We came to offer a choice. This will be our last offer ever." The chamber leaned forward, some in fear, some in hope, some in shame. Kale raised 3 fingers. The final 3 choices. 1. Alliance. The Council joins humans. Shared defense, shared knowledge, shared survival. 2. Isolation. Humans return home. The Council is left alone. The rift threats will come and no help will come with them. 3. Human leadership. Humans take command of the galaxy's defense, not as conquerors, but as guardians. The chamber breathed as one. Rystel whispered, What will you do if we choose wrong?" Kale's eyes hardened. "Then we will save ourselves and let the galaxy face its choices alone." Even Zaltar felt tears in his stone-like eyes, not from fear but from guilt. The ancient being speaks. The smoke being floated forward, glowing softly. "I have lived longer than your council, longer than many stars. I have seen many species rise and fall, but never have I seen a species like humans." The being turned to Kale. "You were forged in pain, shaped by struggle, grown by conflict, but you chose to protect, not destroy." Kale bowed his head slightly, a rare show of respect. The smoke being continued. "You are what the galaxy needs, even if the galaxy does not deserve you." Silence filled the chamber. The council's burden. Zaltar stood. "For thousands of years we believed we were the center of civilization. We believed we were wise. We believed we were powerful." He paused. "We were wrong." He raised his head toward Kale. "Humanity, we are ready to vote. Kale nodded. We will wait. The hologram dimmed, the connection remained open. The council members bowed their heads. This time the vote was not about Earth, not about fear, not about control, not about domination. This vote was about survival. Zaltar lifted his trembling hand over the voting screen. As he touched the glowing options, the council chamber exploded in alarms. Multiple rifts detected, all within council space. The ambassadors screamed. Kale's voice shouted through the channel, "Prepare yourselves, they're already here." And then the sky above the council's homeworld tore open. The next attack had begun. The alarms inside the Galactic Council chamber erupted like thunder. Sirens wailed, lights flashed in urgent patterns. Every ambassador froze as the hologram of their homeworld appeared on the central screen, and the sky above the planet was tearing open. Not one tear, not two, but six. Six massive black cracks appeared in orbit, stretching across the atmosphere like deep wounds ripped through the stars. Space twisted, bent, and flickered with unnatural colors. Zaltar screamed, "No, not again." Rystel grabbed the edge of her table, her eyes wide with terror. "They're coming through multiple points at once." The ancient smoke being trembled violently, a sign of true danger. "This is only the beginning," it whispered. The first emergence, the first rift cracked open completely. A monstrous shape forced itself into existence, huge, twisting, formless. It had no clear body, just a swirling mass of shadows with long limbs that scraped against the sky. The creature let out a silent roar that shook the atmosphere. As it moved, entire buildings below shook. The sky dimmed, energy shields glowed with stress. Rystel whispered, that one is bigger than the creature Hale fought." A technician stuttered, "It's absorbing the planet's magnetic field." More screams erupted across the chamber as another rift split fully open. A second creature emerged, this one shaped like a giant floating maw, rings of teeth spinning like a vortex. "By the stars," Zaltar breathed. "It's eating the light." The two creatures began moving toward the planet, and the council knew they could wipe out the world in minutes. The human fleet moved. Suddenly the hologram zoomed out. The human fleet, still damaged from the first battle, turned sharply toward the council world. Admiral Kale's voice thundered through every speaker. "All ships, defensive formation, protect the planet at all costs." The surviving human warships accelerated to impossible speeds. Blue streaks of gravity energy rippled behind them. Even in their damaged state, they moved like predators heading into a death battle they had already accepted. The council chamber fell silent as they watched the humans charge. The first clash, the shadow-limbed creature swung one massive limb downward toward the planet, aiming to crush the capital city. Kale shouted, "Frontline gravity lances." Human ships unleashed streams of condensed gravity, blue beams that bent reality as they struck. The creature's limb twisted, cracked, and dissolved into dust. But the creature regenerated instantly, forming two more limbs from pure darkness. Zaltar gasped, "They grow back." Kale replied through gritted teeth, "They always grow back." Human ships fired again and again. Each beam tore pieces off the monster, but each injury reformed moments later. The battle was brutal, and the second creature was still approaching the planet, its endless teeth spinning like a cosmic saw. The planet under siege, cities screamed, shields flickered, storms erupted across the atmosphere. The council world was collapsing under the weight of the attack. The maw creature opened wide and swallowed an orbital station whole, thousands of workers gone in seconds. A tech officer fell to his knees. They're unstoppable," but the ancient being snapped sharply, "No creature is unstoppable, not while humans stand." Kale's counterattack, the hologram changed again, now showing Kale's flagship leading a spear formation of smaller ships. Kale raised his hand. "Secondary weapons, Elder Fire." Rystel frowned. "What is Elder Fire?" Smoke being answered, "A weapon humans created after studying the old universe. It burns anything that does not belong in this reality." Kale shouted, "Fire!" Golden beams shot from the human ships, thicker and brighter than the blue gravity pulses. When they struck the shadow creature, it shrieked, not regenerating immediately. Pieces of the monster burned with golden flames. Zaltar gasped, "It's working." But Kale's voice came through, only partially. "They're adapting fast, too fast." His officers yelled, "Admiral, another rift is opening." Rifts 3 and 4, two more cracks tore open. Two more creatures emerged, smaller but faster. They darted through space like giant insects with razor wings. Each wing flap sliced through human ships like paper. 3 human cruisers exploded instantly. 2 more broke apart in silence. Bodies drifted into the void. Rystel covered her mouth, horrified. How do humans keep fighting like this?" Smoke being whispered, "Because they have something no rift creature has, willpower." The council begs. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Council dropped to its knees. Ambassadors from thousands of species bowed their heads, trembling. Zaltar stood and shouted, "Admiral Kale, we withdraw our vote. We take IT back." Rystel cried out, "Humanity, we beg you, help us." Kale didn't stop fighting. He didn't turn his head. He didn't show anger, but his voice softened. "It's too late to withdraw a vote, but not too late to choose a better future." The council listened with shaking breath. Kale shouted, "If you want survival, then stand with us." The turning point, a wave of courage spread across the council. Species who had once feared humans now rushed to activate their fleets. Warriors who once voted for enslavement now volunteered for battle. Ships launched from every port on the planet. The council navy, massive, ancient, diverse, rose into the sky. And for the first time ever, human ships and alien ships stood side by side in perfect formation. Kale gave the order, all forces converge on the maw, we destroy one creature first. The council fleet fired everything they had, missiles, plasma beams, kinetic torpedoes, energy nets. Human ships fired their elder fire beside them. The maw shrieked as golden flames tore across its body. Kale roared, now finish it. Thousands of weapons hit at once, and the maw creature finally exploded into nothing. The council erupted in cheers. Rystel cried with relief. Zalter slammed his fist on the desk. We can win, but Kale's voice cut through the celebration. Don't celebrate yet, the biggest one is still coming. The massive rift the sky tore open a final time. This rift was 10 times larger than the others, stretching across half the planet's orbit. Lightning poured from it. Space cracked like glass, stars flickered, and then something enormous, unimaginably large, shifted behind the tier. Zalter fell backward in his chair. No, please no, even Kale whispered in awe. By Earth, that thing is bigger than the moon. The smoke being glowed with fear. You fight young rift creatures, this one is a titan. Its first limb emerged thick as mountains, wrapped in swirling shadow. Its voice, not sound, but pure vibration, echoed across the entire galaxy. A deep, ancient hunger. Kale stared in horror. If that gets through, every star system will fall. Rystel whispered, can humans stop it? The smoke being whispered, they might, but they cannot do it alone. Kale gave one final command, all fleets prepare for the final stand. Every species, every ship, every soldier, all united in one moment. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin, and the fate of the galaxy would be decided in the next few minutes. The sky above the council world was no longer a sky. It was a battlefield. A gigantic rift, larger than any before, hung over the planet like a black sun. Lightning in unnatural colors crackled across its edges. Time seemed to slow and twist around it. Stars in the distance blinked like dying candles, and behind the tier the titan moved. A creature so large even mountains looked small beside it, its limbs stretched for miles. Its body shimmered with dark shapes that hurt the eyes. Its presence alone bent space like soft metal. Every species watching felt the same primitive terror. This was not just a monster, not a creature, not even a life form. It was a cosmic hunger wearing a shape. If it fully entered the galaxy, everything would fall. The moment of unity. For the first time in the history of the Milky Way, every surviving species stood together. The Council Navy, once divided by fear and politics, now formed a vast defensive wall around their homeworld. Ships of all shapes, round, sharp, glowing, metallic, shook with determination. Weapons hummed, shields overlapped, commanders shouted orders with trembling voices. They knew they were outmatched. But humans had shown the galaxy something new, courage without limit, and that courage spread like wildfire. Zalter, shaking but determined, spoke through the calm, to all fleets today we stand as one, fight with everything you have. For the first time the galaxy followed that order without question. Inside the human flagship, Admiral Kale stood at the center of the command bridge. His face was grim, his crew looked exhausted, wounded, covered in soot and cuts, but none of them backed down. Kale stared at the titan emerging from the rift. Prepare the final weapon. Every officer froze. Sir, the gravity core cannon is unstable, one whispered. Another added, if we fire it, our ship will break apart. Kale didn't blink, we fire it anyway. His crew saluted without hesitation because this was humanity. This was what they did when the universe pushed them. They pushed back harder. The Titan arrives. The Titan forced another limb through the rift, this one even larger. It looked like a continent made of shadow. Its movement created a ripple that crushed several council ships instantly. No explosion, just silence as the ships were erased. Rystel gasped in horror. They didn't even have time to scream. Kale's voice echoed through all comm channels. Hold the line, we cannot let it reach the planet. Human ships surged forward, gravity engines burning bright. The council fleets followed, every species charged toward a creature that could kill them with a thought. The Titan finally opened what looked like an eye. But it wasn't an eye, it was a hole, a void, a doorway into nothing, and suddenly a beam of darkness shot toward the planet. The first defense human ships threw themselves in front of it. Gravity shields clashed with the dark beam, bending space violently. Shockwaves tore across the void. 24 ships exploded instantly, but they stopped the beam. Kale shouted, again, rotate formation. More human ships replaced the fallen ones. The beam slammed into them. They held barely. Zalter watched in absolute disbelief. They're using their own bodies as shields, the smoke being whispered. That is why the galaxy survives today, because humans choose sacrifice. The counterstrike. Kale raised his arm. All human ships, elder fire on my mark. Hundreds of golden beams shot toward the Titan. They struck its massive limbs. The Titan roared, not with sound, but with pressure that cracked shielding and bent metal. Part of its body burned away, revealing swirling dimensions beneath, but the burned parts regenerated instantly. Kale clenched his jaw. It's adapting too fast. We need more power. One officer shouted, "We can activate the Omega field." Kale cut him off. "No, that destroys everything within range." Silence. Even in the chaos of battle, Kale refused to use a weapon that could kill the innocent. The Council joins the fight. Zaltar slammed his fist on the command table. "All Council ships, full attack, burn our cores if you must." A surge of alien firepower filled the sky. Blue beams, red torpedoes, massive plasma arcs, gravity tethers, ion storms. The Titan staggered as millions of shots hit it. For a moment, just a moment, it slowed. Kale saw the opening. "This is our chance." Gravity core cannon charge. His crew scrambled to activate the massive weapon. The entire flagship began to glow with dangerous energy. Every indicator flashed red, every alarm screamed. The ship trembled like it was about to collapse. Kale whispered, "Just hold together a little longer." The Titan's rage. The Titan pulled back its limbs. Its body rippled with fury. The dark eye grew wider. Zaltar realized something horrifying. It's charging a bigger attack. Rystel cried out, "It will destroy the planet." The Titan unleashed a shockwave, pure anti-gravity. It slammed into the Council fleets. Ships spun out of control. Alien cruisers crushed inward. Human destroyers cracked like glass, yet still they held. Kale slammed his fist on the console. "Focus the cannon, fire in 10 seconds. Sir, the core is overheating. Let IT." The last seconds, the Titan swung a massive limb toward the human flagship. If it hit, Earth's only hope would be gone. Council ships surged forward to block. 1,000 alien ships collided with the limb, slowing it. They died instantly, but they bought 5 seconds. Human ships slammed into the limb next. They died too, but they bought 3 more seconds. Kale's crew screamed, "Core at maximum." Kale raised his arm. "Fire, the light of humanity." The gravity core cannon fired. A beam of pure blinding blue energy erupted from the flagship, so bright it cast shadows across the entire planet. The beam hit the Titan with unimaginable force. Space twisted, time shook, even the rift screamed. The Titan's body cracked, split, burned. It tried to regenerate, but elder fire beams from every human ship locked its wounds in place. The cannon kept firing. Kale kept shouting, "More power, all of IT, everything we have." The flagship shook violently, panels exploded, fire erupted, the bridge collapsed, but the cannon kept firing. Because humans refused to stop. The end of the Titan screamed one final time. Its form collapsed inward, imploding like a dying star. The rift behind it shrank smaller until it finally snapped shut like a slammed door. A shockwave rippled across space. Then silence, deep, complete, unreal. The Titan was gone, the rifts were gone, the sky was whole again. Victory and loss. The Council chamber erupted in cheers and tears, but the cheers slowly faded. Kale's flagship was silent. Zaltar whispered, "Admiral Kale, do you copy?" "Nothing." Rystel choked on her breath. "No, please no." Then a faint voice crackled through the comm, "We are still here." The chamber exploded in relief. Kale coughed, voice weak, "Humanity still stands." The galaxy bowed their heads not in fear but in respect, for the species they once voted to enslave had saved them again. The new dawn. Zaltar stood tall. "The vote begins now, not about Earth, but about the future." Rystel added, "We choose unity." Every species raised their hand. The galaxy voted to stand with humanity, not because they had no choice, but because humanity earned their loyalty. The ancient smoke being whispered, the galaxy changes today. It enters the era of guardians. It turned toward the human fleet, and humanity will lead the way.